20th. Woot woot if your birthday is in July and you're a Cancer. This is the fourth one we're doing. These are the new monthly zodiac forecasts. We're doing one for every sign. Reminder, this is for your sun, moon, rising, and Venus. So you're going to have three of those placements. They all may be the same thing. It's rare, but it happens. So you could check out multiple ones of these. Four of those placements because of Venus as well. So Venus, if you have that placement, Cancer, it is for usually love and relationship. We kind of dice it and segment it into that, but it's not just that. It is all things pertaining to love, and just kind of togetherness, and that is not just in intrapersonal relationships and, like partners and stuff, but it certainly is that too. So let's not negate that. So the way these are going to work, and I'll give the brief overview just this month, and then you'll just get it for the next ones. This is like a weather report. It's an energetic weather report. You don't have to believe every single aspect of it. Some parts will really resonate and some parts might not resonate that much. It's just you kind of take it for what it's worth, and what you get out of it and how you can apply that practically is where I found it to be beneficial. My personal metaphysical beliefs are that these are tools. The divine arts are tools. Our inherent belief is what determines whether these things work and how they play out in our lives. They should never feel restrictive, binding, or like something bad is going to happen. For instance, if you see in the weather report that it's going to rain all day tomorrow and you had plans to go to the beach, maybe you don't go get all your plans together and plan a very important thing for that day at the beach if it's going to rain, unless you like the rain. So that's kind of how we use it. But all of the power is within you. These things can happily coexist. Just don't make astrology or tarot or anything else your god, right? Don't make it this external force that has power and sway over you. That's ultimately when we give up our own agency and things can get a little bit gnarly. And we're all guilty of doing that all of the time. It's just we try to pay attention to that. So the way to get the most out of these is just kind of roll with it, see what sticks, sees what doesn't. All right, Cancer. Let's see what we got. We got the handy dandy. You can see my arm here. It's not just going to be my arm the whole time. You can see the two different tones. I actually just ordered a 1080p camera. For some reason, like my MacBook, everyone knows who has a MacBook Pro. They're great computers. They're super powerful. They're amazing. But the camera is a rinky-dink 720p, which is like, you can get TVs for like $30 with 720p right now. It's not like high-tech shit. So that should get here in a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. And then it should be a much more crisp and nice picture of me and the cards. Well, the cards will probably still be of me. I'll be looking better. That's what's important. All right, let's pull some Cardingtons, eh? So also, I got ahead of myself. Before we pull the cards, I do want to go over some of just the basic astrology for you, Cancer, over the month of July. And we're talking about sun signs here, but again, it's your Cancer placements, but some of these will be related specifically to sun signs. So the moon enters Cancer on July 1st. Which is great. Not the sun, the moon. And we like that. We're moon babies. That's our planet. That's our thing that we resonate with. Represents emotions, sensitivity. So you get a nice little Cancer boost right at the beginning of July, which is nice. Also, there's going to be a solar eclipse on July 5th. So those are kind of shadowy days. It doesn't mean something bad's going to happen. It just means the energy may be a little dense. So if you're feeling a little weird or wonky that day, blame it on the eclipse. That's what we do around here. You know how we blame things on Mercury retrograde when shit isn't going the way we want it to? Blame it on the eclipse. But in all seriousness, like that is like I found like looking back at certain days, I'm like, what the fuck was that? You look, it was an eclipse day. It was a retrograde. It's something like that. We have some other trinings and squares and Uranus and Saturn and Jupiter. We'll get into that. I just want to point out that this month, like, pretty good month. June was a very transformative month for Cancer. There was a lot of planetary actions going on. Just opening things up, expanding things. And July is kind of like a keeping with that flow type of deal. You're going to want to pay special attention to your inner child, like really make sure you nurture that and take care of yourself. Just like that little you inside, give yourself a hug, go back in time when you needed a hug, give yourself a hug. Very powerful shit. That is a good thing to do in July. It's going to be one of those feels months for Cancers, and we know how we feel about stuff, right? Deep and a lot. And also, just before we get into the cards, I'll just point out people who are maybe going through job transitions or career transitions. That is very, 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 very normal. You may find adequate success in that in July. It may not take the exact turn you want it to, very well could, but like we recognize that there's some shifting going on there in our 10th house action. And Jupiter was there recently doing some work, which is nice. Expansive Zeus-like Jupiter. Okay, now we're going to pull some cards. Queen of Wands, revoiced. The Hierophant, revoiced. Jeez, Louise. What a fucking way to start. And Page of Cups reversed. Okay. So we look at these in sequence. This is for July. It's the beginning of the month, we'll say. You know, it's just kind of like we're getting a feel for it. First things first, Queen of Wands, right? Reversed. So Queen of Wands in her power is someone who's able to fucking see what she wants, know what's related to her deepest passions, mind and be aware of the shadow aspects of her being and what may arise. That's what's represented by the cat, typically at the bottom, and really just being in command of that. Also, fire signs all over the place on that. Flower, you'll find on all of the royalty cards, they have a flower. And you'll note that, or the queens do at least, you'll note that that represents wands, the fire element in this case. When all four flowers are together as we find them on the sun, that's all four suits of the tarot together. Nice sunflowery. So when we see the cat up there, it just means like the shadow stuff, whether it's doubt, whether it's fear, whether it's guilt, whether it's frustration or anger or rage, it's there. It's on our minds. It's not something we have forgotten about completely. And it's just a reminder to kind of pay attention to any shadow aspects that are coming to you that may be standing in your way just a little bit in terms of really clicking in and getting into that exact flow state, right? So we want to be aware of where that may be coming in with our lives, in relationships too. It's coming up. So just make sure that if there is fear or frustration or guilt or even resentment in relationship in the month of July, just be aware that like it's there, but it's not the main thing. It's there for you to look at and address and kind of like try to figure out what's going on there to work through it, so you can then just like get to that awesome creation phase. The Hierophant reversed here does kind of reflect also a turning over of tradition typically, but we're going to say like traditional stuff for your life. So if you've been in a job or a career, or you've been in a relationship for a long time, there's going to be some type of change. Now, it doesn't mean you're necessarily leaving your job or you're leaving your partner. It just means the context and the way you perceive that is going to fundamentally shift until you have it's a completely different perspective. And it's going to be a good change. It means change is good. Well, first of all, change is like, you can't get rid of it. Like, it's just naturally, it's just water in the cup, guys. I'm not drinking lean. That's a different episode. But you know, it's just representative of a new kind of energy coming into something. So the Hierophant reverse here isn't like the end of the world, right? It's not like some bad, like these other two reverses, I'm gonna call them bad, but like they're pointing out some stuff that we maybe have running as patterns that we're gonna want to address. The Hierophant just means new energy coming in, kind of like a new twist on an old idea is also what's coming up. So in the context of like a job or something you're working on, a project, it's how do you like find a new angle and twist on it to kind of make it flow and work correctly. And you do this all the time. It's just like, this is probably a good opportunity in July to really think of those other ways of kind of like putting your own spin on something in a new way that gives it kind of new life, right? Does that make sense? Also could apply for a relationship. Try something new, maybe a new sex position, who knows? So then we have the Page of Cups reverse. Page of Cups is our great friend. He's whimsical, he's curious, he's cool, he's relaxed, he's funny. Reversed, it means you're taking things way too seriously. And I know cancers, like, I get it completely. We feel the feels. Like, you can get deep into those feels to a degree where it's like, holy shit, turn down the dial a little bit. I don't need to be feeling all of this right now. Nevertheless, it's there. What happens when that's a pattern that we're running, or it's just something we're accustomed to, so maybe part of our being or our nature, we can start taking things way too seriously, and we can really make mountains out of molehills, but also just feel like when something's going bad, that everything is going bad, and that instead of just being like, hey, this kind of sucks right now, making it like a hopeless pit of despair. And that's what we're trying to not do. And the Page of Cups reverse there reminds us not to take things too seriously. If you've really been like, let's say there's just something that's been sticking you, just like really fucking annoying you, and you just like, always a sign you're taking things too seriously. But also, there's probably a way to look at that thing where it's comical. Something that comes up, have you ever had just like a really shitty fucking day? Just like a shit, every possible thing could have gone wrong, to the point where you are now at the point where you're just like, I can only laugh at this. Like, this is so fucked up and bad. My only reaction, unless I'm going to kill myself, which I'm not going to kill myself, is to laugh at this. So, and that's like a powerful place and state of consciousness to be, because it means on some level you've removed yourself from a situation so you can get added perspective and clarity on it, which is like obviously a positive thing to do, because like shit is ultimately kind of funny. It can be super sad and serious and horrible, and everything seems like it's crumbling down, and you can go through those phases. I'm sure if you've been alive for the past 6 months or so, you've probably had those days where you're just like, this is insane, what the fuck is going on, and then just laughing at it in one moment and in utter despair at the others. Just be aware that like you don't have to go into the utter despair part of that equation. Right. And that's what the Page of Cups is just basically reminding us to do. Try to get curious about shit. And if you find yourself kind of in like a down state where like things just like, it's not like the juice ain't there, the mojo ain't there, just try to be curious about what the reasons are for that taking place. Don't buy into all these narratives of why everything is all fucked up, and you know, you're such a bad person, or that thing you did to that person that you shouldn't have done, now this is the karmic retribution for that. No, that's not what it's about. It's really about just like getting curious about what's going on here. Like, why was it not working right now? Like, what is going on? When you're curious about that in a genuine way, in a light way, you know, things, loose energy is good energy there, right? You're trying to loosen the shackles of like the goodiness that comes out. The goodiness that comes out when you're like cool with shit. And that's where we aspire to be, right? Cool, calm, confident, collected. All the C words, not all the C words, but some of the C words. So that was a nice way to start out. Jeez Louise. This is a Cancer card, by the way, the Chariot. Reversed. Two of Cups reversed. There we go. King of Cups upright. Oops, all reversals, basically, apparently for Cancer this month. We'll start with the Chariot reverse. Like I said, this is a Cancer card. All of the trump cards, the major arcana, reflect and apply to various zodiac signs. This is Cancer. And we can see on the Chariot, right, we have the two sphinxes, one black, one white, with the charioteer mounting them. There's some other nice symbolism on there that we'll go into sometime. But this reflects like the harmony of the duality of life and what's going on with those energies, the dark and the light, and how when we harness them and have the correct perspective, we can get to where we're going. You'll also notice that the sphinxes are also they're pointed in opposite directions, right? They're not focused on the same way. And that's an important part of this card, because it's not true that they're always aligned and dark and light are working in tandem for this common direction. It's like they're opposing forces. Sometimes they clash, but in this case, they're going two different ways. So This card reversed, like there is a bit of an imbalance, right? And that's going to be different for everyone. I would guess, and it certainly feels like for Cancers, this may be a little too much heavy emphasis on the dark and also emotion, right? So we don't want to get cold and logical. It's not even possible for Cancer, so we don't even need to address it, especially if you're Cancer moon. I have several of them. My oldest child is a Cancer moon. It's a vibe, real deep in the feels. Because it's the moon is the sign of Cancer. It's just like a double whammy. You got that whole thing going on. But if you get too swayed by emotions, they're so powerful that if you start to feel the feels and the not good feeling the feels way, you can create some pretty gnarly situations for yourself that you might not want to go through constantly. And the Chariot is reminding us that there is some imbalance here. There's some too much focus and energy on maybe what's not going right. And that, I mean, it can be the opposite too. I just want to be clear. It doesn't feel like that in this case, but it could be. It could be too much, I don't want to say positivity, but like no focus on the darkness and the shadow aspects. That's also equally as like non-efficient for trying to get to a destination. You're getting pulled in one direction. So you do want to keep that balance. And listen, when I say balance, it doesn't mean 50-50. It doesn't mean there has to be an equal balance of light and dark and logic and intuition. It could be 90-10 intuition, but it does mean the balance gets you where you need to go. Right? It may weigh heavier on this side, and so you need less of it. It's just you do want to be able to suss out where that spot is, and you'll know, you'll feel, and you'll see reflective. I also want to take this opportunity to say that signs always follow, right? We look at these situations or maybe magical incidents or synchronicities that pop up and go, oh, now we know we're on the right path. No, you were on the right path. You just got a confirmation of it after the fact. There was a shift in your mind, in want to call it, that preceded that symbol or coincidence to something that was already generated by you antecedently before. Okay. All right. So then we got Two of Cups reverse. Not the best card to get reversed. I'm not going to be honest. But again, this is imbalance between polarities, right? They get the alchemical lion with wings when the masculine and feminine come in perfect harmony. We love to see that come in perfect harmony. Didn't mean it to come out like that, but sometimes it happens. When there is a reversal there, again, it points to some like masculine and feminine energy being a little bit out of whack, right? The qualities that we ascribe to those energies. Energies here that basically represent each, no, it's not gender, right? Sex, whatever you want to call it, aspects of the divine, aspects of the one. And when we're leaning too heavily on one or the other, it gets warped. And that's when you get these distortions. And it's when you get things like the political realm, wars, greed, not just bad things, but like over naivete to a fault. Like there are aspects of both, qualities of masculine and feminine that are both good and bad, but like, you don't want to lean too heavily on one. And I'm not someone who says like, the patriarchy and blame it for every possible thing. There are certainly aspects of a patriarchal society that have not benefited mankind for a while. Listen, matriarchy, if it lasted and has been going on and been like let it to be run no problem, it also would have had its problems. This is not a one is better than the other type of situation. It's just noting what the shadow side of each can be and, really being able to suss out like what's right for us at this point. What I love about this sequence is this is my favorite card in the tarot, the King of Cups, because it represents a deep emotional balance. That's what these cards are pointing to. This is our antidote, and this is lovely to see in a July reading for Cancers. Like, you want the King of Cups upright. Fuck all the other cards. If you can get King of Cups upright for a Cancer in July, you're okay. Because it means you're basically really stable, so you can go very far out into the deep of your unconscious, your subconscious, your imagination, whatever you want to call it, the astral plane, at whatever dimension of consciousness you would like to go to, 5D, 60, 70, whatever one. There is a balance that helps you navigate and push you or pull you forward through whatever the experience is that you are creating and having for yourself. So we like to see this card upright. It's like it again, like you're in the deep and you're mastering stuff and you're confident to be out there. And that's where let's be honest, that's where the really interesting stuff is. Not so much listen, the shallow part of the pool is great. You get to stand, but you know what? There's also a lot of kids, a lot of pee in the shallow. You can't really dive in the shallow. There's a lot of restrictions potentially there. It's not bad. It's not the worst. But when you get out into the deep, it's the unknown. And listen, I mean, you don't want to go Ocean Gate deep. That shit was fucked up, right? I mean, it's interesting how everyone has a take on it. And like the general take is like, not that they deserved it, but like, what did you expect? And then you look at the way the thing was built and all the reports and the controller and all this. What I heard basically, by the way, not to digress too much, is that basically the carbon fiber is what doomed the thing. Like sustained dives with carbon fiber because it's not a solid material would have led to some leaks, potentially the portal. Anyway, I can't imagine being imploded to death, but cancers, when you're feeling the feels, it's probably pretty similar in terms of emotionally how you feel. King of Cups, though, reminds us that we can get through that. And not only can we get through, we can be very powerful. This is like a mastery of feelings card. And we love to see that in the month of July. There should be a lot of kind of energy moving with you. And this could have started this month in June as we're ending June. And it certainly will carry through for July. And honestly, like, just remember to be gentle with yourself and don't be too hard on yourself if things don't go exactly the way you want them. It's probably going to be a pretty awesome month, but there may be some ebbs at certain points, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with an ebb. Ebbs get a bad rap. Listen, if nothing else, just from the juxtaposition with the highs, you wouldn't know what a high was if you didn't have an ebb. It would just be always high, and you'd be like, fuck this shit. Yeah, your girlfriend's a Cancer. This is useful. Well, here's the thing about Cancers. You just got to know. They love home and family. They love feeling secure. They will protect people. Once you gain a Cancer's trust, this isn't said enough about Cancers, by the way, but once you gain like a Cancer's true trust, they're loyal forever. Like you can rely on that person in any situation at any time and they will be there for you. So it's a great thing of Cancers. The downside of Cancers is like, listen, amazingly emotional. Like so many emotions, and they can hold a grudge, and they can be very difficult to actually get to know on a deep level because they're guarded in a lot of ways. And these are generalities, but there's a reason that these things are what they are. And I relate to a lot of this with the sun placement. I'm a Cancer in both sidereal, so Vedic, and tropical, and it's clearly there's some relationship there for how I feel. Okay, let's keep it rolling. There we go. The Two of Wands. We don't want to see the moon reverse, but it's okay. And then the Hierophant again. Let's pull another one on top of that. But again, it's twice it's come up, right? This is change. Change. New energy coming into maybe old situations. Queen of Cups reversed. It's like the all reversals here for you, Cancer. It's okay. Two of Wands is being able to really figure out what it is you want and where you want to be and where you would like to go, and like seeing that, feeling that clearly. We see the world in one of his hands, literally the globe. This represents the totality of possibility within this plane of existence, and it's really up to you to find and align your passions with where you would like to go. So this is just a good reminder. Always have some idea of what it is you're creating. Otherwise, you will lose control of that creation. It happens to all of us. It's hard to micromanage every aspect of reality. Jeez. Gosh. Now you see why maybe we fractured off into individuated pieces of consciousness, because to create an entire world, it's a lot. We're all doing it. It's rough. It's tough sometimes. You forget about the details. We let the Ocean Gate shit happen. Whoops. Really wanted to see that Titanic. The moon reversed, right, again, and this is where like there's a date. Where is it? Yeah, it's squares. The moon squares Saturn for Cancer on July 13th, and Saturn is the planet of limitation, of discipline, and that can really bum us out. It can really be like, fuck, I didn't want to be thinking about what I can't do right now. I'd like to be thinking about all that I can do, but we do have to reflect on that sometimes. So if around July 13th, you're feeling a little bit restricted, this moon card feels like that's kind of what's at play right there. It's not the end of the world. It's not like, everything's shit, but you may feel a little, you know how it goes. Queen of Cups, right? Emotions overflowing, just like too much going on, right? Emotionally, trying to get a hold of it. Also, maybe losing touch a little bit with like what it is that we really want and trying to not recapture, but allow that to kind of flow out of us so we can start thinking about the things that like are really important to us. And that's like super important. Like, don't forget that sometimes you have to purge. You have to let things out of you. Drink a lot of water, by the way. Speaking of things coming out of you, drink a lot of water. It's very important for so many reasons. But, you have to get a purge going sometimes of those emotions that are sticking or like tough or lodged to get them out. You end up like emotionally constipated otherwise. And it gets hard to like get into a flow state when you're emotionally if you've been constipated, put that on the emotional level. It doesn't feel great. It's not the best thing. Let's pull some animal oracles for us, Cancers. This is for me too. Listen, I'm seeing what's coming out. Just want to know. Cancers unite. You always can look forward to a fun Cancer reading. I'm Cancer, Sun, Scorpio rising, Sag moon. Vedic, it's different. Libra rising and a Scorpio moon. Canary spirit, sing your own song. Right? Remember, your melody, what song you're singing is your life. So you're composing, you're playing all these different keys. You're playing all these different parts. Maybe it's the low part there, the bass, you're playing the melody high up here in this range. You got the rhythms. You're doing all of these things, and these represents different aspects of your life. In totality, that is your song. And a song has got a lot of different parts, right? If you think of them, there's quiet parts, there's loud parts, dynamic range throughout the whole thing, instrumentation, rhythm, tempo. There's a ton of stuff going on here. So as you learn about different aspects of putting together a song, your life, you can be more discerning about what you want to go where. So sing your own song, of course, but make it a dope song. Bat spirit. I'm Batman. A rebirth is assured. Feels right. Like this, I can only say that this has probably been a big year of shifts and transformation and metamorphosizing, or you're in the process of this. It's like that's the theme, right? And that can be a little difficult for Cancers because we don't want to necessarily change. We're comfortable in our home, in our space, in our power place. Why should we yield our emotions to something new? We're familiar with it. We like it. We don't want to move. You're going to make us crabby. But it is important to accept that transformation takes place. And as we're going through one, it's important to be aware that that's what's happening, because if not, it's going to sneak up on you and you're going to get weird, and you're probably going to be weird for your loved ones, and, they're going to have to help you out, and you're going to feel like, oh, people help me out. But you're changing profoundly this year. Everyone is, but you are, and you have to remember to be patient with yourself and just accept that this is a process that's happening and it's for your own good, right? Makes sense. And then Badger spirit, be fearless and bold. Totally. Like, just make sure you, once you know what it is that you're doing, just go after it. Also, no one who has ever done something really cool or awesome, no one's not failed, right? Do you understand? Failure almost always precedes success. We don't think of it like that. In our minds, we think of a Mozart who's a child prodigy and of course, look at his life. Amadeus, great movie. But everyone fails. Maybe it's not in one aspect of life. Maybe it's another, but is a prereq for success. You know what I mean? Like, you do have to have that success on like whatever that means to you. Even if you succeed over and over and over again, you're really awesome at something, you will hit a failure at some point in some aspect. It doesn't need to be massive. It doesn't need to be catastrophic. It doesn't need to be tower level failure. It just like, it's an important lesson you learn when things don't go your way or something happened. And also it teaches us the prime skill of persistence, right? Like, that's a massive skill that like everyone should be learning at every point, because persistence is like really like almost all of the game for whatever it is you're doing. Like, it's true. You don't even have to be particularly talented, skilled, even likable. If you're persistent, shit will happen, because what you're basically saying is you're casting a spell over and over again, saying this is the way it is, this is the way it is, this is the way it is. You don't want to be like doggedly perspective. We're not Tauruses, we're not Aries, we're not that stubborn, but you know, the crab can have some emotional stubbornness attached to it. So you don't want to be so rigid that you're like immovable and like not fluid and flowing, but you do want to like fucking know what you want and go for it. Like, for real. Like, that's just like a thing that you do in life. Let's pull some more caddies. Ace of Pentacles, we like it. 10 of Pentacles reverse, we don't like it. Page of, listen to that, all Pentacles, okay. This is clearly the money aspect of the reading. When we get all Pentacles, a new path is opening up related to finance and abundance for you, Cancer, in the month of July. A new path. You dig? Could be something you're already doing, but it is a new way of you doing that or being involved with it that will bring that success that you're looking for in the material world, right? This also could be job. Like, this could be clearly like a new career path for you. But it's going to be a new thing for sure. So keep your eyes out for the newness when it comes to financial channels, career channels, job channels. If we're looking for Venus specifically for you, Cancer, in this, you know, be willing to maybe spend a little bit in your relationship. Open up that pocketbook. Open up that wallet. Do what you got to do. If you got some Cancers in your life, they will appreciate that. You feel me? 10 of Pentacles reverse is a heavy card, right? Like, this is legacy. It's the first word that always comes up with 10 of Pentacles. This is like looking at the totality of your actions, your wealth, if you will, your abundance, your mindset related to abundance. And there may still be some work to do there. There may still be some like, maybe you're getting too hung up on the importance of legacy or like generational wealth or whatever it is. And it also could have to do with like taking care of family, Cancer. Like, this is your ability to provide, your ability to be provided for, even where that fits in and how it's sitting with you is probably something that we're going to be working on in July. It's a big enough issue. It's Page of Cups it here. Let's not get too heavy with it, but it's a big enough thing that you're going to want to be spending some time emotionally sussing out like what it means to you, because it's not something that should burden you. You probably will have an awesome legacy. You probably will have like a very life well lived that you can look back on and be like, fucking nailed it. But if you place too much focus on that, you're not living life as you're getting to that point, right? Okay. Page of Pentacles, again, there's the newness. Ace of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. Newness, new path, new way of getting to that path. So there is a theme emerging related to finances, career, where like the newness is what's happening. It doesn't eliminate the old. It's not like that goes away completely, but it does mean that it's going to come from a new source, a new channel. That's what it means. That's cool. Do some Threads of Fate. I like these. But yeah, it's a powerful month. Just looking at any other. July 17th, the moon does. What does it do? It opposes Uranus. So changes. Change. That is definitely likely then you should see some shifts. And again, the moon is our planet, right? That's our dog. That's our gal. She's emotions. She is the silvery moon who comes at night. Are you a night owl? Wouldn't be crazy if you are. Are you completely transfixed and in love with the moon? Would make sense. I got a moon sign right behind me here, the zodiac card. So, we like the moon. But it also is a lot of feelings sometimes, and it's like, I don't know if I want to feel this right now. And so Uranus brings in the changes. When the moon is doing stuff, and it's doing stuff damn near all the time, you best believe the Cancers feel it. Okay. Nature. Some practical fucking advice. Good month to get into nature, Cancer. Get out there, be in the sun if you can. Uh-oh. Well, those are the cards. When cards fall out or drop out, that's your sign. We don't pick them. They fall out. The Alchemist and then Ascension. Okay. So nature will be a catalyst for this. But the Alchemist is putting together the various aspects and elements of our life, of the world, of the magical presence, and the elements that exist within it, and being able to synthesize that into the fifth element, that aether, that luminous, ethereal thing that is kind of the secret sauce that creates whatever this is, right? Think it's a simulation, that would be the programmer for the simulation. If you think it's some divine aspect of some unified consciousness that has got fractured into individuated people, sure, that's probably what, more power to you. But the Alchemist synthesizes that and creates something new that can then be used as a powerful source of change and growth and prosperity even. And then, of course, Ascension is like, we know what that is. It's moving on up. The spiral of Ascension. And I say the spiral, it's not the upward arrow of Ascension. It's a spiral. Hey, Sasruder Lee? Hey. It's a spiral and it goes upwards. It means that we often revisit the same themes just on different levels of awareness. So you may notice, even as you grow up and work through some things and some other new things come up, that, hey, like, I have a different perspective on this. And that's what Ascension is. It is repetition, of course. Now, it's up to you how many times you want to play this game. If you believe in reincarnation and all of these metaphysical, things that may or may not take place, it's up to you where you want to get off that ride, if you want to get off that ride, how you want to get off that ride. One of the ways, if you desire to get off that ride, if you want to, come back as many times as you want, is to get more awareness as you ascend through planes of consciousness. That just gives you an ability to know what the right action is in any given situation, energy, or circumstance, right? Wisdom, quintessential wisdom. That is exactly what we do in the ascension process. In practical terms, that just means like pretty much having a good time in life. You can have the bad times too. It's just like pretty much having a good time in life. You know what I mean? And like knowingly being able to appreciate and express gratitude for what we call life. That's really all we're talking about. It doesn't have to be this complicated thing where you're levitating and walking through walls and flying. You're going to do all that anyway. Trust me. It gets old. I haven't walked through walls yet, guys. I haven't levitated yet, as far as I know. Only in my dreams. And, this is also a dream in some ways. And let's not forget that. And we can prove that to ourselves via various aspects. I just picked up Dream Analysis Part 1 by Carl Jung. Haven't read it. I've read many other things by Jung. Somehow this one slipped through. I'm super stoked to read that and see what's going on. We like dreams. We're moon children. We like dreams. What can we say? Heighten your vitality. Pretty clear there. I could say I started this cleanse, this really intense cleanse, about 3 weeks ago. If you're feeling fucked up, if you're feeling like things are not going your way, sounds like the beginning of like a theme song, like Cheers. When you're lost out there and you're all alone. Wait, is that Full House? That's Full House. Yeah, life is waiting to carry you home. Yeah, that's Full House. But basically, if you're feeling shitty, a good fucking vector to approach that stuff is your health, your physical health. So make sure that you focus on that. It's not worth ascending through the planes of consciousness if your health sucks. Do you know what I mean? Nothing is important to you other than your health when your health isn't good. And unfortunately, for a lot of us, when our health is fine, we don't even think about it. We're just like, cheeseburger, please. Whatever. But it is important to like just, and you know what your own vitality level is. Like, you know whether you're rested enough, whether you're eating the right things, whether you feel good throughout the day and you can do all this stuff you want to do without getting like wound down. You're allowed to be tired. Trust me. 3 fucking kids. I'm tired often, but I also know, like, relatively speaking, where my energy levels are and like when I can do things and when I feel like I absolutely can't do things. So just, it's a nice reminder to basically strengthen and really like put the effort and time into your health, to your for your health. Steve Brule it, basically, is what I'm saying. Oopsie, this one fell out. We already had that one. We'll pull 3 more. But yeah, Cancer, I like our chances this month. It feels good. It feels like you can continue to build on momentum that has been started or is starting now, right? We're early. It's still the end of June here. By the way, I mean, you'll have other signs and placements. I should, it's the 27th today, I should be able to get all of the Zodiac readings done before the month of July. This will be 4, right? 8 to go, 12 signs. That sound right? Yep. Chances are looking good. Today was a sort of a day off with my youngest kid, but I'm raring and ready to go with a lot of these. Okay. Ace of Pentacles reverse. We just got that one, but now it's reverse. Pourquoi? 2 of Pentacles. Oh, there we go. Upright. We love it. Ace of Pentacles reversed, right? So we had this upright, but this also means there may be some frustration. There's a lot of money stuff going on apparently in July. So that means there could be swings, especially when we're looking at the 2 of Pentacles there. Remember to have fun through it all. Doesn't always have to be upward momentum and amazing, right? Like, you get that, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be that. Just try to appreciate the dance of it all. Things aren't going perfectly aligned. Remember, that's part of the fun of it. I know that can be hard, especially when it comes to money and finances here, or love too. Chariot, though, reminds us, like, we were going to straighten that shit out. Remember, we saw it reverse before? We're definitely going to get aligned. Like, there's a lot of alignment taking place in the month of July. I do feel like, Cancer, for most of the like rest of the year, it's going to be like growing this like ball of fire within us that we will then be able to like really blast off. That could certainly take place this year, but 2024 also probably going to be a very powerful year. There's just some stuff going on, just that collectively everyone is working through, and we're going to feel that. It's just our nature for many of us to process that on an emotional level. Don't get lost in the sauce is basically what I'm saying. Don't get too caught up. There's always going to be drama. One of the kind of issues potentially with, being very sensitive is that like you can really get carried away. You can also like latch on to other people's emotions, and it kind of gives you an excuse for not focusing on your own. If you're empathic and you feel other people's emotions, like still be aware of what your own are and how you're relating to things, because ultimately like that's going to dictate your quality of life. So, we're going to be building on stuff in the month of July. It feels very positive. You probably have already noticed some changes starting in June. Pretty dramatic shifts, probably, maybe, yeah. So that expect that to like, that is continuing. That is going to kind of carry you through in a nice way. We should be feeling like a return to energy and focus. I don't just say this on a personal level. I do like believe that I'm relatively attuned with the world, but this is like we're being pushed to our brinks in a lot of ways, and that may still come up emotionally in some areas for you, but it's like you're getting that like we're supposed to see that stuff to work through it, not to remind us of like some fucked up situation, but like that actually you have the power and resiliency to work through what is coming up, and you'll feel better for having gone through this stuff, right? Does that make sense? If you're in a new relationship and like that started sometime in June, July is a good way to keep that going. It's a good month to like express love for your partner, Cancer. Like, I don't say like in over the top ways, but like don't be loose with it. You know what I mean? Like show some love in a lot of different ways. Doesn't have to be just financially. Just show some love. Your partner will very much appreciate it. I can promise you that, and you will too. Ultimately. All right, we'll pull one last card. We'll do an animal oracle. Skunk spirit, know your worth. Feel me? Just like know you're awesome. Good month for us. We like the birthday month, we like it. Even if you're late June, we like what it represents, we do. All right, guys, I will be back potentially tonight with Leo. If not tomorrow, Leo, then Voigo, and then we'll get into the latter half. Yeah. All right. Love you guys. Oh, bye bye.